Here's the top 3 things I learned from my years at Oklahoma State. We were on 3 national championship teams. Some of my teammates were NCAA champions. My brother was. I was an All-American. We won 3 national titles when I was there. And here's 3 things that I learned that I think about constantly, and I wanted to share that. Number 1 is just being in that environment kind of made it easier. We were very into wrestling as kids in high school, my brother and I. And yeah, we got made fun of sometimes for, only caring about wrestling, which probably wasn't true, but, we were pretty dedicated. And so were my teammates. My high school team was the state champions. We set the team record. We had 6 in the finals. So I was on a very good team. But when I went to Oklahoma State, it was more of that. Everybody was on this crazy mission. Even the guys that walked onto the team, they had a vision of what they wanted to be, and they were on the offense. And it's crazy how when you get into an environment, how it's almost like the tide. You're pulled to put in more time because everyone else is doing it. It makes it fun. It's not fun when it's only you. And when you get into an environment, there's some phrase my buddy used to say. He was super successful. He said, "Give me 5 guys like me and we can take over a small country." And I felt like the coaches, the administrators, obviously my teammates, it's just a room of killers. And it was just fun. And it was easier to dedicate and train hard because it's like everyone else was on a mission. And you literally were going to get ran over if you weren't also on that mission. And then you think, well, I've arrived. I'm doing great. I'm winning tournaments. I'm beating All-Americans. I'm ranked in the nation. And then guess what? TJ Jaworski shows up. He didn't care that my brother and I were ranked in the nation. He was a 4-time state champion, won junior nationals. He ended up transferring to North Carolina during the NCAA stuff that we went through. He was a 3-time NCAA champ. So it's kind of like you were never safe. And so yeah, there was a threat. So the momentum, because everyone else was on this mission, kind of like they all had burned the boats and they were all in. But there was more guys coming to shore trying to take your spot. So it was exciting, but yet you couldn't let down your guard. So you were pulled, but you were also pushed. So the power of environment really rubbed off on me. Secondly, I remember being a freshman. This was like September. We started preseason. Our coach at the time, Joe C., he was the only coach to win a D2 national title and a D1 national title as a coach. And he pulled us in, all of us freshmen, 11 of us maybe in there. And he gets the uniform out, and he holds up this orange singlet. And he holds up the Oklahoma State wrestler uniform, which is still the same to this day, and said, "If you do not win, you will not wear this. I expect it. Your parents expect it. The university expects it. The janitors expect it. The professors expect it. The fans certainly expect it. The nation expects winning, and you need to expect to win too. If you do not win, you will not wear this." Then he picks up the singlet and said, "If you do not win, you will not wear this singlet." So the second thing that stuck out to me was, there's a lot of talk about taking pressure off, and I think that's true if you are desperate and fearful. There's something called being a happy warrior. You have to have a smile on your face, but yet the threat is real. And yes, outcomes do matter and winning does matter. Sure, we need to focus on the process. I get all of that. But people that win make a decision to win. And at the end of the day, you are what your record says you are. And Coach C, put pressure on us, and it was very positive. And I remember looking around the room, and I'm not going to lie, there were a few guys that had their head down. One of them was a recruit along with me. He was very successful in high school. And I was a little bit worried about this guy. I didn't know. And I saw he had his head down. And I didn't. And a bunch of us didn't. We were embracing this. And I said, he's not a threat. So the reaction to the very high expectation, I reacted the right way, I believe. Some did not. But the expectation was laid down. So there's no mistake. When you get a job one day, they're going to say, you move the needle, or you're gone. You're gonna have that one day, as a dad, as a mom, as an employee, as a business owner, as a member of the military, wherever your life takes you. There must be high expectations. You don't want to be a support staff member. There is no support staff wearing the orange singlet, basically. So, the power of high expectations. Shannon Miller, Olympic champion gymnast from the 90s. She was actually an honorary coach at Oklahoma State dual meet years ago, which was very cool. My sister-in-law actually competed for Team USA in gymnastics. She was a beast. Her daughter's at Arizona State now, my niece. She's a tremendous, unbelievably dedicated athlete. But Shannon Miller said, no one, because she really wasn't expected to be the all-around Olympic champion, she said, not everyone had high expectations for me, but that's okay, because I had high expectations for myself. And I always remember that, what the Olympic champ Shannon Miller said. So that's the second thing. I would say the third thing would be, I remember after we won one of those NCAA titles, it might have been a week later, we were all back on the mat because we had the US Open, right? And we back on the mats. Didn't take a lot of time off, just a handful of days. But you're going to be amazed at what 5 days off can do to you. I always say 10 days. If you get completely burned out, you probably just need to rest your nervous system, rest your legs, sleep in, don't lift weights, don't look at wrestling, don't look at your goals. Just take 10 days off. You would be amazed at what that can do. But I think we had about 5 or 6 or 7 days off. We were itching to get back on the mat. The athletic director, Dave Martin, brings the NCAA trophy down, the championship trophy, and he sets it in the middle of the wrestling room. He goes, hey guys, we're getting ready to put this up. I thought you guys might want to see your NCAA championship trophy. And, there's probably about 22 of us in there, I'm guessing. Pretty full room. And we all kind of looked and gathered around, and thanks, Dave, awesome. He's like, guys, you're probably not going to ever touch this again. It's going to be locked up. You might want to come and, enjoy this. And I remember reaching over and touching it with my finger, and we all reached over. Some guys hugged it or whatever. It was fun. But when he left and we get back to our workout, it was almost like, I'm not saying it wasn't a big deal, but it was like winning was kind of like, Joe C used to say, winning is a habit. He said, winning is a habit, but unfortunately, so is losing. And he pushed the concept of, it comes back to having high expectations, to where winning can be a habit. And sure, you're not going to win every match. We say to our athletes all the time, you know, a good approach is, hey, I know I'm not going to win every match the rest of my life. I'm not going to win every battle the rest of my life, but I plan on winning this one. And so we're looking at the competitive landscape from a healthy standpoint, where we understand that, you know, hitting a home run every time you have an at bat is probably not going to happen. But I plan on crushing the baseball this time, you know. And so at that moment, I thought about, was that weird? And then I was like, no, that's Oklahoma State wrestling. And I had kind of a smile on my face, and I thought, man, that was cool as hell. You know, that no one made a great big deal out of this. And maybe we should have, but it was just, I'm not saying we expected it, maybe we did, but you know, you can get to where you're winning so much that it almost gets to be expected without even thinking about it. It's just kind of like who you are, I guess. But that was an interesting observation as well. There's my top 3. So hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for following. I wish you guys tremendous success.